Welcome to the first edition of NCL Thursday Night Live. I'm Dan Manson, and I am the incoming commissioner for the National Cyber League. I was also the first commissioner of NCL when it started back in 2012. Since 2012, the National Cyber League has provided an ongoing virtual training ground for participants to develop, practice, and validate their cybersecurity knowledge and skills using next-generation high-fidelity simulation environments. One of the distinguishing factors of the NCL is the integration of learning objectives in all its activities. One of the main ways this is accomplished is by aligning customized content available in NCL gymnasiums with simulation and games available in the NCL stadium. This allows players to use the gym environment to develop knowledge and skills and then demonstrate these newly acquired skills in competitive individual and team play. It also allows the NCL to measure players' game performance and produce individualized scouting reports on strengths and weaknesses amongst various learning objectives and industry-recognized competencies. Why the NCL? Well, various cyber competitions exist. I've been involved with several of them: Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, Cyber Patriot, Seesaw. But the NCL differentiates itself in the following ways: providing year-round knowledge and skills development and validation, integrating learning objectives in all activities, validating skills, analyzing practice and game performance reporting, scaling the numbers of participants, teams, and learning game environments. When we started NCL, we had additional objectives. Those of us who were involved at the beginning had experience in the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition. But as you know, it is one team per school playing CCDC, and then once you lose on the way to the finals, you're done. We wanted to give all students a chance to play through a season, and we wanted to have as many students who wanted to play. So that's why with NCL, you can have as many students as you want sign up from a school. In fact, NCL today is more than just a college game. We're seeing an increasing number of high school students play. High school students who are taking courses that count for community college credit, for example. I really am happy to be back with NCL, and I'm looking forward to having this show, to being your commissioner, and to really promote what I believe is a national sport, cybersecurity competitions. I'm going to bring on the first two guests that we have today, but let me introduce all the guests. Our guests today are Shamsi Musavi, Professor of Computer Science at Mass Bay Community College; Callie Toothman, Predex UI Developer at GE Hitachi Nuclear Energy; Ryan Haley, Network and Security Architect at Ocean Tomo LLC; and Chris Ben, a penetration tester. And we'll find out more about Chris when he comes on. I'm going to bring the first two guests into the show now, and please forgive me for any technical glitches. This is my first time using Facebook Live, and I'm using it with another product called BeLive, which I think the former commissioner, Casey O'Brien, was experimenting with before. So let's bring our first two guests into the show.
Hi.
All right. Callie, Shamsi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
All right. Yes, I can. Wonderful. I'm looking at the show through the host screen, not through Facebook Live. So I'll find out afterwards how it looks actually on Facebook Live. Let's start with Shamsi. You were the coach for Mass Bay Community College, and Mass Bay won the Spring 2017 National Cyber League post-game competition. So congratulations for your championship.
Thank you. Congratulations to my students. They did all the work.
In the notes I have for you, in addition to coaching the team, you developed a new Associate of Science degree in cybersecurity. Can you talk about how you think the NCL integrates itself with the classroom and how having a competition adds to a degree experience?
Definitely. The combination of students in the team that won the competition last spring was actually not just cybersecurity majors. We had computer science majors, IT majors, who had maybe some security courses, maybe have not taken any security courses at Mass Bay, but they were security enthusiasts.
I'm not sure how well we're hearing you through Facebook Live. I'm having a little bit of trouble myself hearing you through what I'm looking at. Let's go to.
Sure. Next time I'll talk louder.
Let's go to Callie. Callie, can you talk a little bit about your experience with NCL? In the notes that I have, you played for 6 seasons, which is fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about how and why you started with NCL and kind of walk us through these seasons?
Sure. I started with NCL when I joined the cyber defense team when I was in grad school. I had a buddy in one of my classes who was really into cybersecurity. I wanted to learn more about it. I really enjoyed the format. I loved the way the challenges were set up, and I kept doing it year after year. I did, I want to say 2 or 3 seasons at UNCW, and then I went into a graduate certificate program at Indiana Bloomington and set up another team through that school and got them into NCL and tried to do a team with them for a couple of seasons. And the only reason why I'm stopping now is because I'm not in college anymore. So otherwise, I just keep doing it. I absolutely love it. And hopefully I'll start volunteering back at my alma mater and helping out with the team there.
Callie, can you talk a little bit more about how you worked with your team, how the team formed itself, some of the chemistry issues, and when you had them play, was there a different way of playing as individuals and then when they formed the team?
Absolutely. At least from the individual standpoint, a lot. They're always the high flyers who were really into the way they did things, and we're going to put a little more. They're a little bit more competitive on the individual standpoint. What I did like when we came together in the team setting is we kind of almost did pair programming in a way where the stronger members would partner up with some of the weaker members and show them how to do things. And we're really good about giving them a little bit to work with and let them try it out for themselves and then come back and clean it up if they needed extra help.
Callie, what advice do you have for those that really are interested in learning cybersecurity and want to get their feet wet in a competition, but basically are afraid? They're afraid of how they might perform, or they're afraid that it's too hard. What do you say to them?
Just try it. Absolutely do it. I was not good my first season. I can't remember how far down the ranks I was, but it definitely wasn't in the gold bracket. Most of it is just trying. Most people that try for the first time realize that it's not as hard as it was, and then they can see what they need to work on, and the scouting reports really help let you focus in on what you need to work on for the next season. So just do it once and have fun.
Great. And Shamsi, what advice do you have for coaches? How can a coach get started? Does a coach need to have a lot of subject matter knowledge in the NCL challenge areas, or are there other factors that may be even more important than the subject matter knowledge?
I think providing the environment and the access and the resources for a coach is very important, so that the students can actually do what they can do. In our case, oftentimes I wouldn't even be with them when they were practicing. actually mostly because one of my students, Paul Bonaparte, who actually won the first place, I would go
I see
to
a
their
comment.
practice, and he was teaching the others, and that's important aspect because the students learn from each other.
I see a comment in Facebook that the team aspect is the best part of NCL.
Yes.
What did your team like about playing? Did your team really enjoy the camaraderie of playing together and actually making it
very
the
much
championship?
so, very much so. It actually created a community for them, such that I would see other students who were not part of the team just walking around. They would see them practicing and working with each other and talking about it, and they would get excited and come over. We also have I also coach another team for programming, computer programming competition, and oftentimes students from the programming team would come over and just listen or try to learn something.
Great.
So I think it was a great opportunity, having the opportunity to compete in NCL, to bring students together and make a community.
Are you going to be coaching in the future? You'll be coaching this fall, and do you have any tips that you would like to share?
Yes, I will be, and in terms of tips for maybe recruiting students, I would always announce it in my classes. I send the email to all who are in at least under computer science, whether it's computer science, IT, cybersecurity, any student, and also tell them that talk to your friends in other courses, because you never know, maybe in your English course there is someone who may be interested, but for now it's doing some other field. You never know.
Thank you. One more question for Callie, and this kind of leads into the next two guests. Callie, did you use the scouting report? Did you use the some of the statistics from NCL? What did your employer want to know how you performed in a competition? Was that something that you think is valuable to have?
Absolutely. At least from a personal standpoint, it's very informative on what skills that I need to work on personally. Also, though, the security officer, I was at GE Aviation, now I'm at GE Nuclear, saw my scouting report and was very impressed with how things were going, and wanted to have me help out with the secure development practices that are going on within GE, and start thinking about what are some ways we can tweak our policies and documentation to make sure that we're as secure as possible in the modern age.
Thank you, Shamsi, and thank you, Callie, for being guests on NCL Thursday Night Live. We're going to bring on the next two guests, Ryan Haley and Chris Spain. So let's see if I can work this and bring you back to the lobby and bring them in. But thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a question, Chris. When you played in fall 2012, what was your expectation for NCL? We were brand new then. I'm really interested in what you thought of the game when we first started.
I wasn't really sure what to expect of it, to be honest. It was one of those things where a professor had kind of said, hey, you guys should play in this. I had created a security club called ISUSEC, and it was very popular amongst the IT students at Illinois State University. And so I believe only myself and maybe a couple other people competed that first year. The next year we had an actual team, and I think we placed like third or fourth in gold division. But that first year I actually did win the entire thing, which was kind of interesting. It was actually, I was surprised that there actually were some lateral movement challenges in it. I think that was probably the most surprising aspect behind it. Beyond that, I felt a lot of it was pretty elementary or basic penetration testing or security concepts.
Chris, can you talk a little bit about what you're currently doing and how NCL provided some preparation for working after you graduated?
Yeah, so I would say the main thing was probably just, I mean, if you don't get internship experience doing penetration testing, this is a good environment to actually test that out. It's very similar to CTF or capture the flag competitions. And I had competed in quite a few capture the flag competitions before competing in NCL. And for those that are competing in NCL, I highly recommend, if you have a team for NCL, to go ahead and try and compete in some of the online CTFs out there. It's one thing that employers really look for when you're applying for a job, especially straight out of school. You don't have too much professional experience. Maybe you've done an internship or two, and they need to know that they're going to be able that you can think critically and solve problems. So competing in these type of competitions is one of the best ways to show that you can do that. But with that being said, you also need to document what you do. You need to write blog posts about it. Like, for example, I wrote a blog post about winning NCL in 2012 right after I had won it. I have many other blog posts about CTF challenges as well. So, like I said, the main focus is like, NCL is great, but, don't just focus on competing everything that's out there and, do your best with it and treat it as a learning experience. Don't treat it as a competition.
What advice do you have for a student that wants to become a penetration tester and wants to really go down the road of becoming a cybersecurity professional? Is NCL something that you recommend? Do you recommend a combination of competitions, of playing cyber defense, of playing CTFs? What would be the best way to develop the hands-on skills in addition to what you can do in the curriculum?
Sure. So, definitely competing in NCL and CCDC, the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, is also an interesting experience. You get the other side of the blue team perspective, being red teamed all day by professional penetration testers from very reputable companies. A lot of big names at the national CCDC too. But it's definitely a combination of all the competitions. Do CCDC, do NCL, do all the CTF. Beyond that, I mean, like, you really need to, I kind of mentioned, write up the you've actually solved to show what you know. Get a Twitter, and following people that do what you already want to do in the community. Like, I do penetration testing myself. There's a lot of other individuals out there that are much more experienced than me.
One of the best things that I saw you do after you won the championship is you had a blog. It was a beautiful blog on how I won the NCL championship. Do you recommend that those that play NCL, play capture the flag competitions, kind of give a play-by-play afterwards? And I think that's a great way for others to learn how to play. How did you come up with the idea, and is it something that you recommend others do?
Yeah, definitely. So the way I come up with the idea is I saw other CTF players doing that, and I had already blogged about previous capture the flag challenges that I had solved. So I really wanted to highlight what I felt won me the competition, because that was the challenge that actually gave me the points to win. And it's something that's invaluable because it demonstrates your ability to document, which not a lot of young folks in college realize that penetration testing really comes down to, like, you're selling a report to someone, and it comes down to writing and documentation. And so if you can't document your technical abilities, then I mean, there's really no place for you in the penetration testing industry. That's probably not the right fit for you if you don't like to write, because you go through an entire assessment and then you have to write up this big report.
I have one final question for you, and I wish I could show it right now, but I'm not able to. But we'll get around to that in later shows. Do you remember that we did player cards for fall 2012? And did you like the player card idea? So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, we did kind of like a baseball card with the picture on the front and the team and the stats on the back. Chris, do you remember that? And is it something you liked?
It's actually, I don't remember that at all, unfortunately. I know the scouting reports were useful from the perspective of I had never been rated in categories like that before, and it provided way more information than a typical capture the flag competition does, and that's really the extra value that NCL provides compared to a traditional one. You get a lot of that feedback versus traditional CTF. You kind of solve a challenge, technical challenge, and go from there. You can contact the author of that challenge and get more information and learn from that, but it's going to be more up to you. NCL goes the extra mile to provide that information to the competitors.
I really appreciate you being on tonight, Chris, and I appreciate Ryan being on. I know we had a few technical difficulties with Ryan, and I really want to thank the audience. Please give me feedback on the show. This is really a show for you, those of you that like to play NCL and believe in what we can do through this competition. We'll be back next week, and next week we'll be talking about some of the changes we're going to have this fall. Skyline is becoming more involved with the competition, with the labs and the registration system. We'll have Franz Payer from Skyline on the show, and we really are excited about this fall season. We look forward to bringing it to you. I'm Dan Manson, and thank you for being on NCL Thursday Night Live.